Seeing declines in your strength and you're seeing declines in your speed and you don't know why. That could possibly be due to something called the interference effect, meaning you have two stimuli working against one another. To be short, you have two stimuli working against one another that are causing you to be a worse athlete than you can be. A lot of times in the world of sports, whenever guys, I say guys especially, whenever we start doing strength training, the first thing everybody does is go to a bodybuilding regimen of some sort. Bodybuilding is great, but bodybuilders for the most part are chasing hypertrophy, but they're also chasing fatigue and to make those muscles as sore as possible so they can break them down and rebuild in a bigger capacity and be able to handle a higher loads as far as weightlifting goes, higher loads than they were previously. In sports, we want to be able to do the same. We do want to get some hypertrophy work in, and we do want to be strong, but we also want to be able to repeat that over the course of 5 days or which is a week's time, or be able to repeat that over the course of a 60-minute game. It was not just a one-time deal. So we're not going on stage and posing, but we're giving outputs as far as being explosive, being fast, and being quick. And so we have to make sure that the things that we're doing in the weight room complement what we're doing on the field. We had to make sure the things we're doing on the field complement the weight room. And so if we want to have a better first step, if we want to have better top end speed, we want to have better acceleration, well, we had to work on those things on the field. But you also have to remember this as well. In most cases, for most of y'all, you're not elite sprinters. You're only going to be able to sprint at a high capacity 2 to 3 days a week. And then you have to put those days in line with what you're doing in the weight room. And I'm saying in team sport aspect, because a lot of times people talk in terms of the perfect program or what they would do with the athlete. And just being honest, if you're in the private sector like I am, you're working with the athlete outside of school, outside of their team, things like that. So you have to take those things into account. So if the athlete is working in a team, working on a team, especially if they don't have like a certified strength and conditioning coach there, then you have to take what they're doing in sport and complement it in some capacity as far as what you do on the field. And so we don't want to get too much volume on the field to where we can't recover or we're too sore to do the same thing the next day. And we can't really control the weight room, but we want to be complementary if we're lifting weights as far as like in the private sector, lifting weights on top of what they're doing with the team. We want to be complementary there and not put this athlete in a bad position to where 2 or 3 days a week isn't enough to recover. And then especially take this into account if that athlete is playing some sort of travel sport over the summer. So if they're playing AAU basketball or they're playing travel softball, travel baseball, things like that, we have to take a recovery into account because we only have so many exposures and so much volume that we can introduce before we get into the detrimental space. And so if I was going to tell you anything to make sure that you're not in that space of regressing as an athlete, so you're not getting slower, you're not getting weaker, things like that, always try to, as much as you can, watch your volume, control your volume. And even if you're a coach of a team sport, watch your team's volume, because if you see those guys and those girls getting slower and getting weaker and not getting better, or you start seeing injuries in places that there shouldn't be injuries as far as like in the weight room, on the field, and I'm saying like doing low impact stuff, then you have to take those things into account and then change something in order to keep progressing over the course of the summer. And it's like I say this all the time, we only got 2 months in the summer. Preferably you got 2.5 months, but you only got 2 months as far as team lifts go, and you really don't have that before you get into camp and things like that. And so you have to take those things to effect. They're going to make you better and make y'all overall better, and then do those things well time and time again and execute those things at a high level all the time and make the most of your reps.